Welcome back to the Friday Five. This is episode 35. I am your host, Cameron Ripley. It is November 29th, Black Friday if you're out there shopping. But for us nonprofit leaders, Giving Tuesday is right around the corner. So the fact you're tuning in, hopefully you're staying in the zone, staying focused for your organization. We wish you the biggest and best Giving Tuesday to date. I am predicting that we're going to see upwards of 500 million, 540 million donated to nonprofits. But nonetheless, without further ado, here we are answering questions, your biggest digital marketing challenges, and let's go. Hit the timer. Boom. All right. First biggest digital marketing challenge is from Angela from NCTV 17. Sorry about that. Biggest digital marketing challenge is customizing and being fresh and engaging on all platforms. I think I like the fact that you're interested in engaging on all key platforms that matter for your cause. I think that's super important. And at the end of the day, it just comes down to core content that is great. You can also repurpose that content that resonates. As I know, creating original content consistently can be challenging. But that's the big thing. And then from there, you just adapt that content per the platform, per the conversation as needed. And it just, comes down to rhythm, and it takes time and it takes patience. But as you do that, you'll naturally see an uptick in engagement across platform over time. All right, next is from Patricia, Regional Marketing and Comms Director at Westport Weston Family YMCA. Biggest digital marketing challenge is getting people to tell us their stories and then translating that into digital ads that would move people to either join the Y or to donate or give. And I love how you're thinking. I mean, getting people to share their stories definitely is an art. It can take time to capture those stories, especially if you're trying to do video and things like that. We have some great content on storytelling frameworks. But for me, whenever we're interviewing, I think it can lead to just some vulnerability and just sharing with people, making people be comfortable. No one expects perfection in the storytelling, but you got to ask. And a lot of organizations, I believe, aren't even asking enough of different people to share their stories, because a lot of people want to give, right? We can give our time, we can give our talent, we can give our treasure, but a lot of times people don't have a lot of treasure to give, but they can give that time and sharing the stories of how it's impacted. So you just got to make more ask, I bet. Are you really asking enough? And then from there, you just want to test quantity. So once you start getting that content, put it out, make data-driven decisions on what stories are resonating the most, whether for whatever reason, and then continue to try and produce more of that similar type of content, and then continue to streamline. And if you can incentivize people to share their stories, that's something you can consider too. Maybe it's a free Y membership for a month or something like that. But hopefully that'll help to move people to give. All right, next is from Carol, Senior Multimedia Designer at the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Biggest digital marketing challenge is working with risk-averse people who don't always understand social media. And I think that this is a challenge of so many nonprofits, and it's unfortunate. And there's a lot of initial things that come to mind. But first is, when it comes to leadership and you're really trying to lead your organization into really understand the importance here, right? There's a few things. There's a big difference between marketing and donor acquisition, and then branding and community building and trust building. They naturally, complement each other, right? Like our development efforts versus our marketing and branding efforts, but we have to see that there is a difference there. That's one thing you got to communicate. And then when it comes with leading an organization through this, it takes consistency. And one thing I always tell myself is it is not until I feel exhausted from sharing a vision with our team that the team is really just starting to get it. And the same concept and principle here applies for you and for your organization to really understand the importance of social. And one thing that I share a lot with boards and things like that is, one of the biggest risks, right? Maybe short term it feels risky or the ROI might not be there, But one of the biggest risks, and I genuinely believe organizations are putting themselves at risk, is if we do not develop the muscle to learn digital, to learn social, to innovate, to adopt these type of technologies quickly, we honestly could be out of business in 5 to 10 years, because if that is how we operate, we are simply not marketing where people's attention is at, which is online and on mobile. And if we can't figure that out, that's a problem. So, yeah, well, how much time does social media take us next month? And can we afford that in the short term? We got to work through that, because we can't afford not to be marketing where people spend all their time. And really, this is the remote control of our life, and we're on it all the time. And whether you like it or not, it's just how the world is. And as an organization, we care about our mission. We have a fiduciary responsibility to market where people's attention is at. All right, last but not least, I'll get one more in here, is from Sharon. I probably butchered that, sorry about that. Marketing and Development Director at Reed WS. Biggest digital marketing challenge is creating just a general digital marketing strategy. And that can be overwhelming, especially if your organization hasn't really done one, or it hasn't had a lot of data to look at. And first, putting a plan in place is good. It gives you a North Star. But start with your audience, your key personas, your different segments. What are their wants? What are their needs? What are their desires? And then ultimately, why do they actually care about your cause? What is your value proposition? Why do you stand out? Why should they care? And really get real with that, and be self-aware about that. And from there, you can start to spend time and invest both, your resources and potentially, some budget to drive results. But start there and talk to people. Get that user feedback, right? Like, don't spend months building a marketing plan, but you haven't talked to anyone if they're going to like it. And you just gotta roll things out more, deploy more. And one tip too is to just document the journey of your cause, especially like if you have no strategy, you might be pretty new. Document the journey of what you're up to. Don't worry about every marketing piece or every marketing piece of collateral just being perfected and perfect, because people can really resonate with the journey, and that's one way to just produce more content. And then when you have those goals, you can back into things. So don't forget about that, customer. Once again, we only have a few days till Giving Tuesday. I wish everyone that's tuned in, whether, just the absolute best of luck. Giving Tuesday is a massive day. I think, it's going to be big. And I think if you're just looking to do one thing a little differently this Giving Tuesday, I'm sure you're stressed about emails and social posts and everything like that. But one thing I like to just give a recommendation on is use Giving Tuesday to also take your stewardship to the next level. The people that do give on Giving Tuesday care about giving beyond just donating to your cause because you asked that day. So do a little bit extra. That could be a YouTube video, that could be a phone call, that could be a text if you have your donors' numbers. But just try and really take your stewardship for those that do give on Giving Tuesday to the next level, and you'll see some really big dividends there. And I hope you found this episode helpful. Subscribe if you like this channel. Let us know your feedback. What do you love? What do you not like? And what content do you want to see coming out of the Community Boost blog and vlog going forward? We want to know. See you next week.